Okay, so honeybees are not native to the United States. They've only been here, or North America, South America, only been here about 400 years. But a lot of our crops are also not native. So the honeybees interact very well with the non-native plants. But honeybees are also generalists, so they will work some native plants. And the other thing that you have to keep in mind is that we like to grow large areas of a single crop. So the native bees who would normally do pollination, there just aren't enough of them to pollinate huge fields of crops, where honeybees we can move in. So a hive like this in the middle of summer will have maybe 50,000 bees. And so they're very good at pollinating because we can get large populations, and you can pick these hives up and move them where you want to. Okay, so there are a lot of native bees. I'm not an entomologist, but there's a genus called Osmia, the blue orchard bee, the sweat bee, those kind of things. And then so all those are individual bees. They don't congregate in a nest. They sometimes nest together, but it's like independent houses in a high-rise. They're together but separate. Then there are bumblebees, which there are many species of bumblebees, I think about 30 in our area. And bumblebees do nest together, but they have a very small nest, maybe 300 individuals. And so even though they're very good pollinators, there just aren't enough of them to do the massive crops that we like to grow. People confuse honeybees with yellow jackets. So yellow jackets, we always, if we dress up for Halloween as a bee, we wear yellow and black. As we'll see in a minute when I open the hive, honeybees are not yellow and black. They're more brown, gray, black, some with some stripes on them. But what's yellow and black are yellow jackets. Yellow jackets sting multiple times, each individual. A honeybee can only sting you one time. So there's no need, if you see a bee on the flower, she doesn't care about you. She's going to, if you try to touch her on the flower, she's just going to move to the next flower. Now, if you step on one, of course they'll sting you. But yellow jackets, especially late summer, early fall, get very aggressive, and they defend a large area around their nest. Bees glue everything together. They collect resin from plants and gather sticky material, which they use to glue everything together. And in the natural environment, in trees, if there's any cracks or any places where there might be a rain leak, they will use that material to seal those cracks. Especially important for the winter time. So here's one of the pests. I don't know if you can see this little black bug there. That's called a small hive beetle. They can be quite destructive. Let me crush a couple of these, sorry about that. A strong colony will keep them under control, but they can be, if they get too far ahead of the bees, they can destroy the colony. Now, I wanted to talk about honey. I want to show you some honey. The other thing to know about bees is they have very strict rules on how far apart the comb should be. So this is a wax cap. Underneath that wax cap is going to be the honey. And I want you to notice that bees, I can touch them, they don't care, they just move out of the way. A couple of summers ago I had some kids out here for one of the programs, and one little girl was so funny. She said, I'm going to go home, tell my mother I petted bees today. And it's true. You can just pet them and they'll get out of the way. Okay, so the honey, we take some, but we have to make sure that we leave enough that they can have enough food for over winter, because honeybees do not hibernate. They're not like bumblebees. That's heavy. They're not like bumblebees or other bees that hibernate. Bees communicate by odor, and one of the things that we do to mask the odor, I won't use that yet, mask the odor is some smoke. It essentially plugs up their nose. Let's see what we see here. Oh, good. This is bad, but good. So, what we see here, get out from underneath my finger. So, here are the bees. And what we see underneath here, these are the pupa. The bees are in the cocoon right now, and they are transforming from a little, oops, here's a male. Let me grab him while we still have a chance here. So males don't have stingers. Males have huge eyes. You can distinguish them by their big eyes. And they also have a relatively square body. So if we pick up a female here, the females are the ones that sting. Let's see here, pick up one. Oh, well, come on. Here you go. So you see the eyes are very small, and the body is more slender. Oh, that was a male. Sorry about that. Okay, let's grab a female here. Okay, that's a female. Gotta be careful she doesn't sting me. Only the females sting, not the males. And I don't know if you can see into here, but there are little white grubs. Those are the larvae. And if we look on the other side, we're going to see that there are pupae again, but now they're raised up. These are all male pupae here, so they're all going to be what are called drones. There's only one fertile female, and we call her the queen. She's the mother of all the bees that we see. And maybe we'll spot her, maybe we won't. So bees collect two types of food. They collect the nectar that they make in the honey here. But if you look in here, out of the way, ladies. If you look into here, you'll see some yellow material. That's pollen, because the main job of a bee is to transfer pollen from flower to flower to let the plant make fruits, nuts. So bees have very strict rules about how far apart these combs can be. They have to be about 9 millimeters apart. If they're closer, oh, here's a teaching moment. There she is. I've painted her with a green dot. Just a minute. Let's come back up here. Come back up here. Okay. Green, so the dot helps me find her, but it also tells me how old she is. So green was last year. This year was blue. She run away. There she is. They like to play hide and seek. So she's the mother of all the bees that we see here. We're really lucky that we were able to spot her. Because as you can see, there's a lot of bees in the hive. And you don't normally look for her. You just look to see, there she is again. You just look to see if she's laying eggs. If she's laying eggs, then we know she's here and everything is happy. So I have a device here that will ensure that the spacing is just right. So I use that so that the bees are happy. I just saw a bee with pollen. Here she is. So she's been out to flowers. If you see on her back leg, she has yellow balls on it. Come back here. So she's been out fertilizing the flowers, and the bees have a deal with the flowers. They transfer pollen from flower to flower, but they take a big percentage of it home to feed the babies. And if we look on this side here, once again you can see all this area here is full of pollen that bees like her have brought back. So bees are in segments. There's the head segment, there's the thorax segment, and there's the abdominal segment. And the thorax is where all 6 legs, so insects have 6 legs, all 6 legs are attached to the thorax. So you'll see a lot of toy bees where there are legs on the abdomen. That's not correct. And all 4 wings are on the thorax. So that is the muscle place of the whole hive. Of the whole bee is the thorax. And that's the strongest part of a bee. So, obviously it has to be strong to support all those muscles. So for the queen, I put a drop of paint on her thorax. So you kind of pick her up by the thorax, not by the head and not by the abdomen. Some people pick them up by the wings, and if you get all 4 wings, that's good. Or you pick up by the thorax, put a small drop of paint on, let it dry. And that way, it gives you 2 advantages, or 3 actually. You can see the queen more easily when you're in the hive. You can tell how old she is because we use a color code system. So, like I said, blue was this year, green was last year. And then the other thing is that the queen is replaceable. So if she gets old, or she gets hurt, or the bees just don't like her, they'll make a new queen. And so here we have a green queen. If I were to come back in a month or so and find a queen without a mark, then I know she's been replaced. So it helps me keep track of where they're replacing things or anything like that. So right now they're getting ready for winter, so that's why they have so much honey in here. So I wouldn't harvest any more honey because they need 80 to 90 pounds of honey to go through the winter. Later you can see these hives over here are stacked higher. If I was more ambitious, I could actually harvest a couple of boxes off them, but I'm not going to. Too much work for just a few gallons of honey. Okay, so I'll divide the threats into 2 parts. One part is something the beekeeper can take should try to mitigate. We saw the small hive beetles there that we were crushing. There's also something even smaller that's like a tick, that just like ticks for us, ticks spread Lyme disease and suck on our blood. The ticks for bees are called varroa mites, and they spread disease, spread viruses, and they eat on the body of the bee, which really decreases the chance that the bees can survive the winter. So those are beekeeper things to mitigate. What non-beekeepers can do is use less pesticides, plant more flowers. We have to get rid of this idea that a lawn should be all grass. There should be some clover in your lawn. Clover is very good for your lawn. It's going to put nitrogen fertilizer into your lawn. It's good food for all kinds of pollinators. And plant more flowers. We need lots of flowers, not only for honeybees, but for all the native bees, butterflies, etc. So those are things that people can do. Hey, it's best to take a course. So I teach a course here at Temple Ambler in the spring. Lots of bee clubs teach courses. You can read some books. YouTube is iffy because there's a lot of stuff on there that either is not correct or it's perfectly correct but not for our region. So you got to think about the way they keep bees down south or further north is going to be different than the way we keep bees here in the Philadelphia area. So you need some help from a beekeeper, local beekeeper, knowledgeable local beekeeper to help you understand what you need to do in our area. So some of the YouTube things can be interesting but not necessarily accurate. Okay, so the goal of the course, one, is to let people see if they want to be beekeepers, because with the pests that we just talked about, beekeeping is more of a challenge than it used to be. So you have to be prepared to do a lot of work to maintain your bees. There's a lot to learn, and I want people to understand how much fun honeybees can be, because they have a very complex society. Oops, sorry lady. They have a very complex society, which is tremendously interesting to learn about. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so I want people to understand that honeybees are critical for pollinating lots of our crops, flowers. If you like apples, if you like almonds, you like fruit, honeybees are involved in that. Honeybees face challenges because of overuse of pesticides and not enough flowers. So we need more flowers, less pesticides. That's what we need people to understand.